It is case sensitive.
Question: Can you build, so for the CNH, can you build something that can go and pull it from another data type that's common? Like what? So like a known site, known program, known browser component.
That's basically like you see here with getting regexp constructor, Infinity. That's what people have been trying to do, and there's some letters where people just have not found. I mean, I've been through MDC several times looking for particular letters, just any way I can get a specific letter, and I haven't been able to find one. One is actually H, which we'll come back to in a second. So one thing that would be really nice, though, is if there was somewhere else under our control where we can insert some of these characters and then pull from that. Well, actually, since we're working client side, we do have things at our disposal, such as window.name, and of course the hash of the URI. We can plug in basically whatever we want there that's loaded on the client side, and we can actually get access to more information. So an example of that, if you set the window name to alert, and then call eval the name, basically using this, if you can get window eval and you have access to the name, then you can execute any code you want. You don't have to worry about being non-alphanumeric anymore. Just your actual payload and a cross-site scripting vulnerability would be non-alphanumeric.
Is there a built-in MD5 hashing algorithm?
Not in JavaScript.
Because I was thinking you might be able to either MD5 or SHA or something like that, do a hash on of a known string, which is going to give you back a known group of letters.
That's kind of like with Firefox and the beta A function. It's using base 64. So if you know that this certain block will give you these letters back, you could do that. But again, that's Firefox only. Do what?
Can you subtract letters from each other? Like, can you subtract, like...
JavaScript does not have real sophisticated string operations. Like, I haven't found a way to just manipulate a letter and, like bit shift it or something. Yeah.
JavaScript is weakly typed.
It is.
So, as long as the cast makes sense, you're going to be able to do it.
Right.
My thing is, like, there's a few Firefox add-ons that can do like base 64 checks and whatnot. I forgot the name of it. There's so many different add-ons that you can get. Like one is like Firebug or whatever, and then there's another
Right.
one that does base 64 as well.
Yeah, but if you're wanting to hit end users with this, they're probably not going to have any of those add-ons.
Okay.
So, I mean...
You want it to work on the base install the option.
Right. But with here, since we have access to the name of the window, we're at the point now where we can execute anything we want. We don't have to worry about grabbing all those letters. If we can just get to eval, we're good to go. Another way of doing it is if you actually include JavaScript code in the beginning, set the location to the window name. You'll get the same effect. One thing though, M can be a little difficult to get sometimes. It kind of takes some doing to get, usually it's number constructor. Another option would be to use the hash, plug something in there and just set location equals location hash. But here's where we run into another little obstacles that, like I said, getting the letter H, I don't know of a way to get the letter H just using this basic stuff like I've been talking about. But of course the hash is already part of window location, which we do have access to. So it'd be really nice if there was some way we could just pull out that hash, and of course regular expressions come to the rescue. Because to do regular expressions, we don't really need anything more than just symbols. So for some shorthand, I'm going to go ahead and assign a window object and the string location. These next few examples. So if this is my hash, I can call window location equals, that regular expression will get me the hash out of it. So again, using only symbols, I can pull out that little bit, set the location there, and execute anything I want. Actually, you don't even need regular expressions, though, if you use some little tricks. If you want a comment out part, again, these are just symbols, not using any more letters here. So you can eval, tack that onto the beginning. You're basically commenting out the first part of the URI, and then you only execute what comes after it in the hash. It's just a comment. So the slash asterisk and the closing asterisk slash in JavaScript are just commenting out that part of the code. So the only thing it actually executes is what follows the comment. So this isn't actually regular expressions here. This is just doing a straight eval. Another way, this is one that Lever 1 came up with that was pretty clever, where, again, since getting the V for eval can be hard, getting slice is a lot easier, and you can actually just, again, put eval inside of your hash, load it up, and then execute the rest of it from your hash there.
So you'll find this exact slice that you're looking
This is using the slice function to pull off part of the string there. So the slice -4 pulls eval out. Now you have the eval string. You don't have to worry about getting it manually letter by letter. And then you execute it on the rest of the URI, and the comments block everything else from loading.
Most of what you're talking about will work on any weakly typed language.
Yes.
If these functions are there and this syntax is there, it'll work.
Right, and so the key is getting the functions.
Yeah.
And that's where those first steps come in, and building on it. Of course, this is just showing you what you're trying to do. But of course, there'll be a lot more code in actually getting to those strings. And that's why the last one, it's easier to get slice than it is to get eval. It just takes less code to do it. But of course, it's nice to optimize down. These can get pretty complicated. This kind of first started with a contest in Slackers to execute alert 1 in Firefox as short as possible. The first entry was 472 characters long, because it takes a while to build all this out. Any guesses as to what the final version came down to? 128. Very close. It was 63 characters. So that's all it took to load up an alert 1 using no letters and numbers. Later, another version was done where it's using the window.name or location hash ideas to load arbitrary codes. This is to execute anything without using the base 64 stuff. First one was 154. Any guesses on the final? 103. For the cross-browser version, first one to execute arbitrary code took 240 characters. Any guesses on the final?
Has to be half of that.
70%.
You can fit it in a text message. So 160 characters, completely non-alphanumeric, and you can load up any JavaScript you want.
So,
Cross-browser.
quick question. So, was any of this weaponized? Because I've never seen any. I look at a lot of this stuff. I look at this on a regular basis, and I surely haven't seen. I mean, I've seen obfuscation of any type, but I've never seen anything.
I'm not aware of anyone using this in the wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has been pretty, like the five guys I mentioned at the beginning, like they've done a lot of discussion about it. I've joined in on some of the discussion, but it hasn't really gotten past Slackers.
Some of that, like malware sample, like what?
Twitter attacks.
Do what?
Aren't they less than
Well,
that?
your weakly typed languages, a lot of the developers know, don't let this run with, gratis rights.
You must not let the developers on.
Have you looked at the drive-by downloads that you know how you click it and then you get honed from downloading some bullshit and then you're part of a botnet? My thing is they have to be less than 240 if they're using, to do a drive-by download. Wouldn't they? Because it's JavaScript.
What do you mean?
You know, like the pop-ups that you get and you click it?
Right.
Like Rogue AV.
Yeah. Like the Rogue AV pop-ups, aren't they using JavaScript to execute those files?
Yeah.
Yeah, but those generally throw the kitchen sink at you of vulnerabilities.
That's true.
Yeah, but I'm
Right.
saying
Right.
I'm talking about the arbitrary code. Like he's saying it's 240. Wouldn't it be less than that to like bypass if you were in a Firefox browser, you still get pwned even in Firefox.
So if you use the obfuscated JavaScript just to load the code on the back end, right? So to get past
Right.
the web AV or whatever.
So this is your payload. If you have a cross-site scripting vulnerability, this is how many characters you have to insert, and then it actually will call code from like window name or the hash. And since it's calling code from there, the code you plug in there could then load up an external script file from your web server that could be as long as you want. So if you have this many characters, you can do anything.
Yeah, this filtering only needs to get past, whatever, like the web application is doing some filtering on like an input or something. Right.
And of course, remember the server never sees the hash or the window name, so it's never going to encounter that.
How much of this is working against NoScript in its most updated version?
I do not know. I have not tested against NoScript. Of course, if you're trying to inject this somewhere, NoScript is probably going to catch it anyway.
Yeah,
It just says turn off the scripting here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing that tries to execute.
Unless you, so again, I guess the point is that the whole competition is about updating the default browser.
Yeah, that's part of why we cross-browsing. Like Firefox is easier, but you can still do a cross-browser. Just takes a little more tweaking. So this is the more practical side. Like you can use this in text and stuff, but